We recognise the Kaurna people as the custodians of the lands and waters of the Adelaide region and pay our respects to elders past and present. We acknowledge and respect the Kaurna people's cultural, spiritual, physical and emotional connection with their land, waters and community, and we extend that respect to all Aboriginal and First Nations people. Welcome back to Amy and I'm Amy Matthews. This is a very late episode. I'm going to stick my hat on for this bit, my stupid hat, which looks good on just about nobody, I think.
I think you really pull it off.
Yeah. Whenever I talk about my PhD graduation, the main thing that both my parents say is, do we get to see you in that stupid hat?
In the bonnet.
That's what they're most looking forward to.
But not every institution has the bonnet. Some have the bonnet boards for PhDs, which I think some people feel very, very like they're missing out to not get the silly bonnet.
I can't wait.
Gold tassels. Some don't have gold tassels.
Oh. I would like a little bonnet.
But wait, why do you
think Flinders has a bonnet? I think you guys will get a blue and gold regalia. I think it's blue and gold with a bonnet.
Is there the reason behind the two tassels? I've literally just noticed the tassel at the back.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. This is just I graduated from the University of Adelaide, which will cease to exist at the end of this year. So this will be rare.
You'll be able to know that.
Yeah, that's what that means. Yeah. So mine is black with a red sash. I quite like the outfit that I have.
I have to say those colours are good colours.
Yeah, the gold is not striking.
There are some Flinders is quite fussy. You guys need to look it up because it's got kind of little embellishments and stuff. It's quite a busy outfit. But yeah, I've seen all kinds and there's some really fancy ones. Well, I have a colleague at Flinders who graduated from the University of Edinburgh and he has a full kilt.
I could do a kilt.
Yeah,
we all chose the wrong institution. We did.
That's not true. We love Flinders. You wouldn't have met me. I wouldn't have met you.
That is true.
But
we would all be in kilts, Amy.
Well, maybe we just wear the kilt because you can wear whatever you want underneath your gown. We can all kilt up.
At the graduation from my undergrad, because they would graduate all the arts kids together. At least when I did it was all the arts kids and all the law kids. And there was like everything from like the crispest three-piece suits you've ever seen on a law graduate to literally cargo shorts, thongs, and then like a Tarantino t-shirt.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
I loved it. It was great.
Oh, well, I'm looking forward to your graduations. I will be there with champagne. Anyway, I just realized anyone listening on any streaming service where there's no video doesn't know what the hell we're talking about. But I basically put on my velvet PhD bonnet because we're still doing academic month. So we are really late for book club. It was not live because how many of us went? There was Abby, Justina, Peyton, me. Of the 6 of us, 4 of us went to the Romance Writers of Australia conference and caught influenza A. And we're still getting over it nearly a month later. So, we didn't get
A
to
for
book
academia.
Yay! Last year I got whooping cough and this year I caught influenza A. So I wouldn't give it back, though. I think I'll still go next year and catch whatever I catch. I enjoy the conference that much.
Kind of romantic.
We did say though that next time we'll do like if we ever did the staying, like we stayed in Tassie longer. If we did that next time, we'd go first. And then do the conference and come home and be sick.
Next year's in Darwin, and I was thinking that I'd go early again.
Yeah,
I think.
And then I won't have to get a asthma puffer just so I can walk around Mona without passing out.
It's been bad. Yeah, so we were all in Hobart, which is where our book of the month and academic affair is set. And we thought it was going to be lovely for you because Abby and Peyton and Justina were still there and we're going to book club from Tasmania, but best laid plans. So we're doing a catch-up episode because we all read it, and so we're going to talk about it. And yeah, I haven't planned this at all, and I'm still sick, so please forgive me. But essentially, it's by Jodi McAlister, who we interviewed in week 3 of August. So you all know who she is already. So Jodi is an academic. She's a senior lecturer at Deakin, and she teaches lit studies and creative writing. And we thought it was interesting because we're all in the same context, right? Like Millie's not here, but Millie already is Dr. Mill. So she already has a PhD and then is doing a second one because she's a brainiac. And then you guys are all doing your PhDs, and I obviously am like, bonneted.
You've got the hat.
Love the bonnet. I'm going to take it off now because it's really stupid. You want me to leave it on a bit longer?
Wait, do you get one if you go?
What does that mean?
Bonnet change?
What?
You get promoted?
If you go what?
If you go up, it doesn't. So
this is the ultimate is the bonnet. You get
right. Okay, that is like the peak is the bonnet.
Peak is the
ultimate
bonnet.
Wow.
Well, in that case, I really wish
chancellor. You get to have the mace and all the
that's
big equipment.
But when you become like as prof, do you get something to signify as prof?
You get a pay increase, which is
a hat on the back.
Yeah, you know what?
Look, I'll take that over a hat.
But what about professors? Do professors wear different hats?
No.
Really?
They also get a pay increase. They do put a new sticker on your door. Not that they've done it to me, but
you didn't get a sticker.
I think you have to request it. You have to go on the Service One thing, request it.
Makes you feel a bit wanky, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, and also because they're moving me, like I got moved campuses, but I've got offices, like I've got a desk, and then I was like, I don't want to now I'm doing it. Alert them in case they take my office away.
We can cut this bit.
They won't be listening. It's fine.
I'll put in a Service One for you anyway. I'll be like,
thanks, Sarah.
Door stickers.
It is funny though, because I remember when I got promoted, people not knowing how to address you anymore.
Well, I always say ASPIP.
Yeah, APOS. A pro-ass.
Pro-ass Amy.
Yeah. But, it was I ran into my old supervisor who's a professor, and he said, that the formal address is actually professor now. And I was like, I did not know that, because you can't actually say to someone associate professor. Like, you put associate professor, but you get addressed as professor.
So you are Professor Amy.
Yeah.
I
trust him because he was, he was a chair of Australian Studies at Harvard and is like a fancy person.
Whoa.
Rhodes Scholar kind of person. So he knows those things.
So the only change in the address, the only change in the title
is in the written form.
It's in the written form and the pay increase.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's weird that we don't get taught how to properly address people, because theoretically these could be your own professors, lecturers, whatever, and you don't even know what the difference is.
But in Australia, we just call people by their first names, right?
Yeah, I was going to say this. I remember back in the days of Twitter, there being a huge discussion at one point, because I think it was an American professor finding out that Australians all call everyone by their first name, and they're like, you're not addressing me properly, people don't have etiquette anymore. And it's like, it would be rude almost to refer to your lecturers constantly by title, surname.
It would be weird. In Australia, it's just your always first name.
If you wanted me to call you Professor Matthews, I think I'd spew.
Well, in America, they call everyone professor. This is how much respect I get from.
No, that's not respect.
I think
I'm
saying
you
I would get so anxious thinking, wow, she hates me.
If I said that.
If you said, I think Amy's done now. I think we're just going to done. I'd be like, that's it. I'm quitting.
Yeah, I'm quitting. I'm not calling you that. Oh, I don't hate you. In America, they call all their teachers professor. So you would be called as soon as you got your doctorate and you're teaching, they're calling you a professor.
That's wild.
It's just like an honorific address.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think in China too, I've had students from China who call everyone professor.
Right. Why does everything have to be different everywhere? I get confused.
I like in Australia the total disregard for hierarchy. I think let's celebrate that. No,
I agree.
You're all a bit rubbish. Anyway, before we're totally digressing. It's gonna be one of those book clubs. I'm okay.
As I say,
I'm okay with it. Anyway, we because it's book club, we usually do snack and drink. So let's go around the room and see what everyone's study snack is.
Let's not also say what day of the week it is.
Popcorn.
Oh.
Usually I have just some raw carrots, but I didn't really think I should be eating those.
As opposed to
on a podcast.
Like boiled carrots in a bowl.
Yeah. I do like carrots too. They're one of mine.
Yeah.
I'm an instant noodle girly. So these are my favorites, my go-tos. I did not cook them because I thought I shouldn't be slurping on noodles for the whole podcast.
Yeah. Differences between studying and talking, right?
ASMR episode eating snacks. Justina loves ASMR.
I would be taking the headphones off.
This week we talk about bonnets and
this is like we're disciplined this week.
I do not have a snack.
No, come on, what else have you got? Because I know that you've got a little something there as well. Justina.
Yeah, I was going to say we're doing drinks as well. Yeah, I've got my this is a iced coffee with a little bit of like it's not espresso. It's like a kind of espresso martini cold brew mixed in.
Like a Kahlua.
Yeah.
Nice. And Peyton.
Espresso martini.
Actually made our drink of the month.
Yeah.
Go team.
Peyton is very consistent.
Yeah, you always do.
I try my best.
Also halfway through that espresso martini by the listening.
No, this was how much it produced.
Oh.
That's good. That's not going to get you too upset.
Yeah. I thought, no, that's okay, actually. That will be all right.
In answer to Harry's earlier question, it's actually a Monday night. We usually do this on Thursday. Monday night's a bit harder to hit the drink.
I do not have a snack, but I have a nice glass of Fiano, which I did not finish over the weekend. So there was a bottle that I was like, I shall use this.
I also feel wine is thematic to the book as well.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. We'll talk about that in a sec. Abby, what have you got?
I don't have a snack. Look, I'll be really honest. I forgot the heart of this being a book club.
You've got the flu. That's okay.
Yeah. My brain has turned to mush by the end of it. There are things that I'm doing that I would never normally do. Anyway.
What? You can't just open with that.
No, in just the sense of that was really stupid. I forgot to attach something to an email, that sort of thing.
Okay, boring. Fine.
Yeah, I know. I have water.
That's very responsible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Amy?
Well, boring study snacks. I have cheese and fruit. That's what's on my desk.
Is that is that actually a small triangle of cheese and a mandarin?
Yeah, it's both so boring. But you know what? The problem is that studying is my job now.
Yeah.
And so you can't eat study snacks all the time because it's actually a daily diet. It's not good for you. So maybe when I'm on deadline, I basically just give whatever. I take whatever anyone feeds me.
Take whatever's available.
And then because I felt bad because everyone else had alcohol, I went and thought this was appropriate. It's like from a minibar. From when you're on conference and you take something from the minibar.
Yeah.
So I'll drink that.
Beautiful.
I could use a drink. It's Monday, but I could bloody use a drink.
Are you going to put that in tea or in a cup, or are you going to drink it out of a tiny bottle?
Let's not ruin Scotch.
I thought you were just going to drink it straight out of that.
You showed the bottle and I was like,
don't waste any. Maybe that's what I should take. We're doing a live show tomorrow, everyone. Not that you'll know, and it'll be over by the time you hear it. We're going to do the bring from home thing. I could bring this.
Oh, well, now you can tell us. You told us.
I know. That would be lame anyway. I'll bring a full one.
Yeah.
Did you know Amy's on holiday?
Amy's on study leave, not quite holiday. She's still producing way too much work. Except like you with the flu, it's actually very hard to focus. It took me all day to write 4 paragraphs today. It was so slow.
The brain fog is the worst. Not being able to think is awful.
Yeah. So good thing we're talking about academic stuff today.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I do not think, therefore I do not am.
Excellent. So I thought if you listen to our interview with Jodi, If you haven't, you can go back and listen to it. She did, I think she's doing another one, but some events where she paired up with a wine shop and a sommelier, and they picked wine to match different things in the book. And I think I saw for this Hobart setting, the Tasmanian setting, they picked vodka, I think. This is how well researched I am, and there's a lot of I thinks, but I believe it was some kind of icy vodka. But I was going to ask you guys, if you were to pick an alcoholic drink for Sadie or Jonah, the characters in this book, what would you pick? Because I don't know I'd go wine for either of them.
I don't think so either.
My all-time favorite quote from my chosen quote from the book is about Sadie and wine. So I would pick wine.
Oh, would you?
Like, I think she says in chapter 18, she's like, I even wrote it down when I was listening because I was like, oh God. And then I had to flip through this notebook and be like, where is it? And I was like, I did write this down. And it's like, I'd had to tell him about the wine. It was much more difficult to conceal 6 bottles of wine than it was to conceal a letter. And I was like, I loved that line because I was like, that's so iconic. And
so her drink isn't just wine, it's 6 bottles of wine.
It's 6 bottles of wine, yeah. And I was listening to it when I was doing work, like ages ago, and my partner was in the room, and he turns to me while he was doing like some drag makeup because he's drag queen, and he goes, haha, you. And then just like carries on doing the thing. And I was like, oh, yes. So I wrote that line down. So I would pick wine because that was my favorite.
What wine would you pick? For Sadie or Jonah, or both of them?
Probably for Jonah, I'd pick something like a little bit pretentious, like a Tempranillo.
Yeah, but they're students when we first meet them. They're totally like drinking shit goon. Like they're not drinking wine.
Shit goon at the start.
Or they're saving up for a month. Oh, no, I don't know though, because he's like a lit studies person.
Yeah,
so
he's
a bit pretentious.
He's giving pretentious.
I feel like
his father's influence.
No,
his father's influence, whether he likes it or not, he'd be drinking like old fashioned.
I feel like Jonah should have 2 drinks. He should have a cardigan Jonah drink, which I think is like a cup of tea that's maybe spiked with something. And then a tweed Jonah
Jane Austen. He'd be drinking out Jane Austen cocktail.
The Earl Grey cocktail.
Yeah. And then tweed Jonah can have the pretentious Tempranillo.
Yeah, tweed Jonah is what I was thinking of. I was like, he would be the one that like pairs it with something.
Yeah,
like kind of vibe.
I think Sadie needs a frozen margarita to let loose. You know,
actually, what she is, but what she needs.
Well, actually, speaking on that, maybe like because tweed Jonah, like because we get both characters' perspectives in the book, is kind of an invention of Sadie's. Like it's filtered through how she's interpreting his behavior. He's actually, I think, fairly consistent internally between like it doesn't seem, at least it didn't seem to me like he was trying to put on airs at different points. It's just how his behavior is being interpreted. So maybe he would drink something Sadie would never expect.
That's nice.
Yeah. Which I'm not sure what that would be.
I was going to say Guinness, but there's like a certain type of like
like a beer.
Yeah,
maybe you just drink
Guinness
a beer.
Would work well in the cold climes of Tasmania.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
They do have a lot of nice pubs.
Yeah, we did go to a nice Irish pub when we were there.
Yeah. Oh, I want to go back.
Yeah, I like
Guinness.
Imagine if he's just like a vodka Red Bull person.
Oh my god!
Like the complete opposite of what you'd expect, but he's like lava body Red Bull.
Do you reckon
Jägermeisters?
Yeah, Skittle bomb. Let's just get it down.
Like a traffic light.
Jonah.
Jello shots.
Since you brought up Hobart, let's talk about the setting, because I actually really liked that it was set somewhere in Australia you don't see very often in a rom-com.
Yeah.
Well, I don't see Australia in a rom-com often myself, but I feel like that's more an accusation against myself because I don't read Australian romance. So it was really nice, but it felt to me Australian, but also like it could have been set in the US and it would have been very similar. But then maybe a US reader would not agree with that.
I kind of don't agree, but I don't feel like I know enough to fully disagree. But I do know that the US university system is so different to ours in some ways. Like this whole structure of their degrees is really different. And they do, what's it, 7-year PhDs instead of 3-year PhDs, like.
And the pay is terrible. Like in the UK and the US, the pay is much worse for academics than it is here.
Worse.
Which is saying something.
Oh my god.
Oh no, not for PhDs.
For casual.
Not even. I'm talking about to get the job. Once they get the lecturing job.
Right.
Like, so it makes it. There's a whole different layer of politics there, right? If you're going through, like we were talking the other day off air, guys, about these guys are all on scholarship. That it's below minimum wage, like significantly below minimum wage. And then imagine you're doing that and doing the exploitative, very low paid casual stuff for a job that it's not as cushy as it is in Australia. Like, not as cushy, there's a lot of work, but the pay is really good in Australia, just like it is for secondary teaching compared to the US.
Yeah, see, that's interesting. I didn't know that, because our conversation the other day was very it was based around all of us having people that say that we make too much money as PhD the work that we do. And it prompted me to just vent very loudly in a group about my anger.
I remember one of my dad's friends saying to me and it was lower when I got the PhD scholarship, it was like 18,000 a year, but the cost of living was different.
Yeah.
But I remember one of my dad's friends going, "How are you ever going to live on that?" And I remember going, "I don't know, because I left a full-time job for this, and not sure how I'm going to pay the rent."
I mean,
you're not able to work alongside of it's in the scholarship that you can't work alongside.
Yeah,
there's a certain amount of hours. Yeah,
you need your supervisor's permission, which gives them a lot of power over you.
Yeah.
Because
take that moment to put my bonnet back on.
As she gives that sign of judgment.
I can't leave because Amy won't let me work.
Yeah, I can't. It's her fault that I'm dying.
Yeah, it will say the scholarship is below minimum. But I also found, because before being on it wasn't directly before being on the scholarship, I was working. But before I was working, I was on the unemployment welfare. And it's significant. At least it felt very significantly more than unemployment. And I was actually earning less than that at my previous working.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
it's just horrific.
But it's so I tell everyone that I'm rich, and then they all look at me very concerned when I tell them what the scholarship actually is.
Yeah.
So I have the reverse response to Harry of people being judgmental.
In terms of setting, because we were discussing setting, I do feel like this academic romance is very different to what I would classify as an academic romance, in the sense that most of the academic work, like academic fiction that I read, is set from student perspective, as opposed to like teaching perspective.
Yeah.
And so I felt like it was lacking, like I enjoyed it, but I felt like it was lacking that like really immersive being on campus, and that sort of thing. A lot of the plot happens outside of campus itself.
Yeah, so we define in their research. Like normally those books, it's about them doing their research, and you're kind of following their project with them a lot of the time. And you don't really have that in this book.
Define academic as campus life, like academic romance. We want to see campus life.
Well, there's a whole kind of
want to see, but I think it's different per person, right?
Yeah, and I think there wasn't a lot to like. Again, I liked it, but I think I struggled, especially from my perspective, to relate to how that was their academic experience, because I was like, a lot of the stuff that I could relate to was in the past and was with the setup of it was all the initial build up to like where we find them. And
I really liked the opening. I thought the opening.
Yeah, the opening was awesome.
If you haven't read it, it starts in Jonah's point of view, which is interesting, in a prologue. And it goes through like their different ceasefires, so you do get to see them as students. I really liked the student bit.
Yeah,
it's so interesting that we find the student stuff more immersive, because I really loved the opening too. I wonder if it is because they were students and young, and also that's when like most of their rivalry was, like before they had to work together, and so that was really entertaining.
So having said that, I do think it is a bit refreshing to have novels that centered around early career academics, because I feel like it's usually either a student perspective or like an established academic perspective, or a really unfortunate combination of the two.
At least there wasn't the power problems in this one.
Just do that.
Yeah, nicely said.
But yeah, no, this was it's a perspective you don't normally see. It's either the people who are already set and they're like, I don't know, a tenured professor. They have a lot of power established, but this is still like they're not students anymore, but they're still kind of scrappy and fighting for that seat at the table.
And it does really draw attention to the problems with the industry, like the fact there are like 1,000 people for every one job, and people who are like overperformers and overachievers. It's not like they're not qualified for the jobs, but that it is a really exploitative industry where there's not many opportunities. I thought that was really interesting to see in a book, because you don't see that very often.
Same. I liked that. Yeah, it's very timely.
There was
so
also
much to do with the lack of funding in the arts and
oh my gosh,
arts departments of universities.
Australia's policies around humanities in universities very unsettling at the moment for a whole podcast full of people doing creative arts academia.
Yeah.
To go sideways from that, here's a philosophical thing. So what we're seeing globally is that people aren't enrolling in arts or humanities. And it's all around the world. It's not just in Australia. So I'm curious about that, about why people don't feel like there's value in doing English or history or philosophy or classics or like that's a really interesting thing.
Yeah. I feel like it's neoliberalism succeeding at what it set out to do, which was survival of the fittest, convincing people that money is the only thing that matters and your worth is tied to how much capital you can produce. And
well, there's that cost of living pressures as well, that maybe there's just people who maybe would have gone into humanities or arts are wrestling with the idea, even as teenagers, of thinking what career-wise they're going to do, and the propaganda that humanities and arts is a useless field to study has been working, and people just believe that there's no real worth in learning it and they should do something that will get them a job.
Yeah.
I think it's just, you're right. It's about the domestic, like the output that you can put into the economy.
Especially,
and the turn toward like the immediate gratification of money through things like trade and stuff, which are obviously important, but are very different like sectors. Because you see it in education as well. You see it in primary and high school education, with the turn away from particularly young males from going into those fields for a lot of complicated reasons. There's a lot we don't have time to like talk about. But you like just in general, you see a downturn in nursing, and you see a downturn in education, because people don't like, just as we do see in arts and humanities, which is obviously a lot more. It's because you see that people don't have the capacity to go through 3 or 4 years of education at a minimum to then work in an environment that might not pay them what they're expecting to be paid.
And where they'll be suffering greatly, because like nurses especially just overworked.
Awful, yeah.
And teachers really bad.
I'm kind of a little bit torn though, because part of me feels like, I don't know, I love research and I actually really love like doing academic things and like and reading academic writing and like doing the PhD and all of the ways that we collaborate together, both like creatively and academically, is like so fun and energizing to me. But at the same time, I do feel like it's a bit of a pyramid scheme. Like I feel like there is a level to which maybe these institutions are not delivering on the promise of you attend this, you pay this much money, and this is what the value you're going to get out of it. I feel like the value is being sucked out of these degrees, often not through lack of wanting to provide a good education, but there's often behind the scenes administrative and business things that make that just, you've gone through restructures before, like the curriculum's changed so much, and it can be difficult on a student experience level when you don't have that consistency, or when your degree department is getting gutted and there's a lot of things in there where I feel like they're not delivering on the value that they're promising they'll deliver. And at the same time, I also feel like I would love to democratize arts and humanities, and like you don't need to go to university. You shouldn't need to go to university to have a voice at that table. But at the same, But to contradict myself yet again, some of it is just a devaluing and anti-intellectualism where people feel like it's not worth knowing these things.
The irony then is that they rely on the researchers and they rely on the people in these areas to then tell about the forecomings and the shortcomings of these areas and how important it is that you need to restoke those workplaces and how we've got a teacher shortage and we've got an academic shortage and shit, we're in a failing now. And they rely on exactly the people that they're shitting on to bring that to light. And you're like,
you see that at play in a really interesting way in the book, actually, like because Jonah and Sadie have to write, I think, was it 2 entire courses? They write the whole courses, they write all the lectures.
They first write 52 lectures, which works out to be about 300,000 words, and then they're brought on to do that again. The exact same thing.
And then I think they want them to do a topic that neither of them are specialists in. And it's like, these are you're seeing the gaps where I suppose the sort of more capitalistic greed of this behind the scene fact that these institutions are businesses is then impacting on the quality of the education.
Which then becomes a problem with the research, like the people that they are taking the jobs away from, taking the opportunities away from, and the endless fucking awful cycle. I'm sure you felt real potent about that part, Amy, as well, when it came to rewriting courses and doing lots of
I've done a lot of that. My first I think 18 months in my current job, which was a long time ago now. But I wrote 9 topics in the first 18 months.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think when I met when you did honours, I think, Justina, I was teaching 5 topics in one semester. Because I think you started, I feel like your honours year had only been at Flinders for a couple of years.
I think my honours year was the first year that you were the honours coordinator. Because I remember to apply for honours, I'd been talking to the previous honours coordinator. And my year of honours students had never met you before. But I think you did a fantastic job. I couldn't tell that you were running, it 5 or 9 topics?
Yeah, you don't talk about it a lot. But I mean, the thing I thought was interesting that I wanted to talk about is competition, which I think Peyton alluded to when you were talking about neoliberalism. And I know historically, academia has been competitive. So when I was an undergrad, there were no computers yet. Like, I still handwrote. That's how old I am. And they would post, I think I may have said this before, they would post your grades on the wall. So my first year, you'd have to go up, say you did classics, the assignments would come out and you'd have to go look for your student number and see where your grade is. And they were ranked, from the high distinctions. So people could tell where you were by where you were looking. When I did honours, there were only like 12 of us doing honours. And again, they still posted it outside the lecturer's door on a piece of paper, but they used our names so you could see what everyone got and
this
where
is
you
like
were ranked.
the high school K-dramas that I watch. They do that in them. They all have to go to the little thing and see where they're ranked.
Yeah, it's
my nightmare.
That is my nightmare, because if I wasn't on the top, this speaks a lot about me personally. If I wasn't on the top, I would be having nightmares.
This is reminding me of one of the great academic works, like academia fictions of our time, Legally Blonde, where they have to run to the wall to see who made this exclusive trial team.
So I mean, I feel like it's not new, the competition, and I think, talking about the money side of it, I think there is the issue that it was once a privilege, right? It was for rich people. And so the idea was that you had your parents supported you and you didn't need money.
Is something that I feel like has become so deeply embedded in the way academia functions globally.
And publishing, I would say publishing too.
Well, yeah, but also I found it I find it's even worse in academia than in publishing, because I didn't realize before starting my PhD that you don't get paid for publishing in an academic journal.
No.
And often the editors aren't getting paid either.
And if you want open access, you have to pay. The institution has to pay for it to be open access.
Yeah, and you don't get paid for speaking at a conference, and you don't get paid for there are so many things
you have to pay to go to conference. My partner is going to a conference. His work pays the airfares, the accommodation, food, taxis, per diem, for being put out. I'm like, I fund my own conferences.
Imagine that.
And I think there's this really outdated thing embedded in academia that, like, oh, if you're publishing and attending conferences and things, you're already wealthy and already like you have an institution paying for all these things and you have all this other stuff. Whereas if you're casual, if you're a grad student, or if you're early career, like, that's just so brutal.
Also, the bait in, like, I know people have this idea that universities are liberal, but they're actually not. Like, if you look at the statistics and the data and everything, they're actually quite conservative institutions, most of them. One thing I've always loved about Flinders is it was founded as a social justice institution, and it was, I think it still is, had the most diverse pathway entry in the country. And I think for a long time it has held on to the social justice, and I hope it continues to. But generally they're very conservative, and I could tell you some horrific stories, but including like when you were trying to get your career going, which Jodi covers in the book, you do a lot of casual teaching, right? And a lot of you've done casual teaching, and then exploitative contracts. My first contract was they gave me 0.5 of like a level A. So I was earning about $35,000 a year, but they gave me a full teaching load. So I was doing more than most academics. And I had 2 kids and a mortgage. And I remember lecturers, including people I looked up to who wrote, left-wing theory papers that I thought were amazing. And they would say to me, oh, but you have a husband. And it's just like, sorry for my language, but get fucked.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know anything about my life circumstances, or like, don't be telling me you've got a husband. I don't need to be paid for my labor.
Yeah.
Like,
what year is it?
Yeah. But then also like that year, I'm not going to name any names, obviously. But that year I taught you honors, like I'd come to Flinders for another institution, but people don't always look up your CV, right? And I'm not someone who big notes myself most of the time. And then I had done 9 years of exploitative contracts by the time I came to Flinders. But people, because I looked younger than I was, I would be like 15 years into my career and people would still say to me, so are you doing a PhD? Because they thought I looked young. And no one really bothered to look up my CV and just assumed I was a brand new academic. Yeah. So I even remember being introduced to your honours class in this very patronising way, like I had just finished my PhD and was not 10 years into my career. And then as a result, obviously not Justina because she's an amazing human, but there were other people, particularly young men, who would then patronise you, right? Would treat you like you don't know anything. But that has happened to me all throughout my career, like where people have assumed I'm young, I'm not as much. I remember going to a conference with Eric Paraso, who we ran a conference actually on Jane Austen, and I was telling him this story about how I can't go anywhere without anyone saying to me, and when are you finishing your PhD? And he kind of didn't believe me. And then we were standing there and someone came up and was like talking to him and treating him with respect. And then they assumed I was a postgrad helping out and said, and when are you finishing a PhD? And bless Eric, he actually said, oh, she outranks me. Like she's had her PhD for quite a long time. Yeah. But these assumptions people make that are ageist, sexist. Yeah. And I thought Jodi actually does gesture to that a lot in an academic affair about how conservative the institutions actually are.
Yeah. And I feel like that snobbishness as well, particularly directed at women.
I feel like there's another layer to it as well, which is also addressed in the book, in that we're creative writing PhDs in the creative writing department. And then when Sadie's doing genre fiction as opposed to the more kind of
Shakespeare,
Shakespeare,
modernism,
like that is then another layer of being kind of looked down upon, right?
Which is classist, and also because it's a feminized area, it's sexist.
Which I found very relatable.
Yeah.
I mean, the classism is also huge in this as well, because like Sadie and Jonah come from totally different backgrounds and totally different life experiences. And that's part of what colors Sadie's perceptions of Jonah, is because she, has struggled so hard for everything. And then Jonah has to do some looking in the mirror as well when he is venting to Sadie about feeling overshadowed by his like highly regarded, respected academic father, who is a bit of an asshole. or a lot of an arsehole, we should say. And he definitely has a lot of hang-ups around like his own childhood, but knowing that they have these totally different contexts and that, you know, he has these opportunities that he may not even take for granted, but feel like hemmed in by, at the same way that Sadie has her lack of opportunities have also given her this whole this mentality that they both kind of, you see where they overlap when they're both so ambitious and both so trying so hard to prove themselves.
So do you guys feel like, did that resonate with you, that thing about being popular culture specialists or creative writers? Or, I mean, we all look at romance, and Peyton, you're looking at satire, but you also write kind of fantasy and romance. Have you felt you've encountered that when you're in the institution, a snobbery or an elitism?
Not yet, because I feel like I'm very protected by you. I see it all the time. I see you being affected by it. I see others being affected by it, and I'm just waiting for it to happen.
I don't know about other institutions, but I feel like, at least through my time at Flinders, it's been very like enthusiastic actually about genre fiction and about academics in the genre areas. So I haven't encountered that personally.
You might have once. I don't think Justina remembers this, but we did go to a conference where we ran a panel on romance and nobody came. Do you remember?
Oh,
not a single person came to our panel.
Wow. I also don't remember this.
In our group. Yeah. It was not too long ago, and we had pitched a romance panel at something that was very full of popular culture people, and I was shocked at how, even so, it's surrounded by people who are marginalized for studying popular culture, they still did not come to the romance panels.
Well, yeah, because then there's another layer, right? We're doing genre, but then we're also doing romance genre with another layer of on top of it. I would say that I have witnessed it, but I feel like, say, as Peyton was saying, I'm very protected in the fact that I surround myself with people who appreciate kind of what we're doing. Like, I surround myself with you guys. And so I'm very confident in what I'm doing because I have that support system. Whereas if I was on my own and didn't have the support system, I feel like I would bump into it a lot more.
That's really powerful, I think. But that goes against, because I think one thing I love about you guys and a lot of the other people we work with is the rejection of the competition. Because I've said to you before, I used to work with someone who used to start honours, not at Flinders, at a different institution, used to start the honours year by telling them all that honours is a blood sport. And I have spoken to Jodi before. I've heard her talk about how academia can be a knife fight. And I feel very lucky to have you guys as my students, because, and maybe I've curated it, I don't know. Like, maybe I've deliberately picked people who are ethically opposed to the blood sport.
I think you actually do a really good job of creating a culture that is that prioritizes collaboration over competition.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm also just like, I'm not a very competitive person by nature. Like, I've never been competitive about my grades or about much at all. But so I feel like that was something in the book that I did not resonate with, is that I just I personally can't really fathom it, just because that's not how I'm wired.
It actually shuts me down. It freaks me out and makes me want to hide.
I also literally don't pick up on hierarchies very well. So that's another thing.
I love that about you. We should all be like that.
I just always think that we're contributing to a shared collective. So having been like in an environment that I would say is curated to kind of like fight against the blood sport of academia, as our little like group is, and as it continues to grow, I feel like you can even see new people that are joining in are sharing that same ideal. They're like, this is how I want it to be. And because we're contributing to a shared collective, I just don't understand the need for it to be a blood sport, because your work contributes to my work and my work contributes to your work. And anything that we do that is in a collective is working together, like in the same space. That being said, I've definitely indirectly received a lot of snobbishness around like gay male romance because of hearing people talk about it at conferences. And
the most snobbishness I get about it is from people outside of academia altogether. Like,
I completely fucking agree. Yeah.
I get snobbishness in the form of people not being willing to accept that romance and popular fiction is something that you kind of even you can have expertise in. I was having like conversations with friends and they were talking about romance, and then I was like, oh, actually, like, oh, this thing and this thing, and then they would like correct me and I was like, oh, I read about this all day. Like,
can I just point out what fascinates me about that is how evident the misogyny is, or the elitism is, because if you picked anything else, film, for example, if you moved to film studies and you were to talk about Marvel films or something, people might be a bit snobby about them, but they treat it like an industry. Like, that's where, like, in terms of capitalism and neoliberalism, they're like, yes, that is a money-making industry that needs labor. Romance is massive, as we always talk about, huge industry that dominates sales. It has imprints, it has publishers, it has marketing, publicity, cover designers. Abby's been doing some cover designing. Like, you actually work in that space. Like, it has careers, and yet still doesn't even get the neoliberal capitalist kind of nod of approval because it's feminized.
The number of times I've heard someone say, and it's usually men, but not always, oh, you know, if I don't find success writing this book, then I can always just like bang out a romance novel and make money doing that. And I was like, oh, can you?
I wish it was that easy.
Oh, there you go.
Literally.
Give it a crack.
You know how big my house would be? You know how big this house would be? My goodness. Bang them out.
It's actually to the point now where, like, I'll be writing my romance and I'm like, man, if I could just write like a high fantasy, that'd be so
I completely agree. I'm like, let's switch to describing mountain ranges, man, because this character development is fucking hard. That's what happened to me.
Why, I wonder why my book ended up being not a romance and also 170,000 words long. I couldn't do the romance and I was trying to write.
It's interesting you said that, because Jodi started out, like, I think she said her first book she actually wrote was Libby Lawrence, which was published a few years ago, which is a YA book. But then she wrote fantasy. Like, she wrote a fantasy series, and she
Valentine?
Yeah, and despite being a romance scholar, she didn't come to romance writing until the Marry Me Juliet series, which was after she'd published her fantasy series.
Which makes sense to me, because I feel like you really need a strong understanding of genre conventions and also like structure to write a romance. There is so much structure to it that I feel like I won't nail it until I'm 5 books in, which we talk about all the time, Amy. You always say that. But I feel like particularly with romance, like I need to write several books. So even if that's writing several fantasy books, learning structure there would help with my romance.
I've been reading actually quite a lot of like literary fiction in my like fun reading recently, which has been super refreshing. Like I really love a lot about literary fiction, but I find that like what I crave is what I get actually a lot out of a lot of your Amy Matthews books, is that marriage between the like literariness in the writing or in the like interiority sometimes of it, but then that movement that you get from romance or from commercial genre fiction. Because a lot of the like, I'll read a beautiful literary fiction book, but it's more like a character, like a study of a character at one moment in their life, and what made them the way they are. But you don't see the change, and that transformation is something that I crave out of fiction.
Yeah, I've got a hot take which might, like, I'm just first draft thinking, but I've been kind of half thinking it for a while and may not be popular. But I actually think that a lot of literary fiction, because I also love literary fiction, read it for pleasure, but I think it often gets away with being lazy. As someone who's written it as well, is that it can get away with a lack of clarity around not just plot. You know, like ambiguity is so celebrated in literary fiction, but I don't think it's always necessary. I actually think a lot of the time as a literary author, you get away without having clarity about what your book's about.
Yes.
You know, you have themes and stuff, but in terms of the plot, the character, the, like you said, the movement and the structure, you can not bother with it. And I think actually learning how to have clarity, because one thing a really good romance does, and again, I think a lot of romance is very hard to have excellent romance. I think there's a lot of stuff that sort of sits in that middle, which is fine. It's fun to read. But in terms of being great, what you want is crystal clarity and tightness of plot, which is very hard to do. I think so. For romance, you need character development, strong voice, tight plot. And those are three of the hardest things to nail in writing, I think.
It seems impossible when you're in the middle of it as well.
Oh, you don't have clarity while you're writing. That's the secret.
The other thing that frustrates me when people read commercial fiction or genre fiction, because something fits a genre because it fits the structure that people are expecting and reading it for. And I find it frustrating when people read genre fiction and then they criticize it and they criticize the surface level plot. And I just think like you are not reading below that when like all of the juice of any kind of genre fiction is below the structure. And that's exactly why the structure exists, so that you can like do all of this stuff underneath it. That's what people read it for.
I've also found occasionally like you encounter a piece of genre fiction that is doing the surface level trappings and aesthetics of a genre, but doesn't have any of the that underlying stuff that you would expect to find necessarily, or that really takes something to being a really great example of genre fiction. And I wonder if that is in some ways linked to this attitude of like, well, I'll just bang out something commercial. And then it just doesn't have the like heart to it. It doesn't have the guts to it. It's just the appearance of being like a genre fiction work.
Yeah, because there's probably a difference between I mean, it's like cuisine, right? Like you can have dessert, but it can be candy floss or it can be chocolate pudding. And I think how much kind of depth and weight and complexity of flavor there is different.
And like you were saying, the same thing can happen in literary fiction, because I know that I've said this to both of you outside of this, but I've had people who write more literary stuff send me things for me to read them and say a bunch of things happen in it that are just kind of, and this has happened in some of the books that I've been studying as well, something kind of something weird, for lack of a better word, something weird occurs in the story, and I'm thinking, oh, like what's that, what's going on there? And because the writer has asked me to read it, I'll ask them, and they can't even answer, and they can't even answer like if there are meant to be multiple interpretations or like what purpose is it serving. And like even if you don't know and you're trying to be a provocateur, you should be able to articulate that, but you can't even do that. You're just like writing weird shit to get a reaction out of people.
I feel like
you can't even explain that that's what you're doing.
That's where what Amy was saying about this kind of almost lazy ambiguity comes from.
Yeah, lazy ambiguity.
That like you know, it's not having, it's shying away from actually expressing something almost.
Yeah.
Or they're like the carrying of the metaphor throughout the entire piece. And then they're like, and it largely went unnoticed. And I'm like, because I would argue that it wasn't well done. Like, I know that sounds quite provocative, but you're always like, so you're telling me nobody caught up on that? Yeah, that's not an us problem.
Every romance to me is making a commentary, right? Making a commentary about a relationship, right? Or about a person, or about what the life journey is, or what they're learning. So to get back to the book, what is the journey? Because one thing I loved was the spousal appointment, because I have missed out on jobs before because someone got a spousal appointment for their partner.
That's crazy, because I thought that was fictional.
I didn't know that was a thing. Yeah, I didn't know what partner it was.
I would challenge that it only usually happens for professors, like they really want.
Oh, okay.
And I do know of situations where professors have said, I'll take a 0.5 position if you also hire my partner as a 0.5.
Right.
But I can name you a whole bunch where it happens, but they're usually professors that they want to head a department or take a chair of a position. I think there is no way I could rock up somewhere and be like, employ my partner, and they do it. So I feel like at their level, that seems a bit weird.
But this is the step away from a reality, so that we can have a fake marriage.
You also said you were going to name names. So
and I do. I'm not
5, and you give us 10 names.
No,
5.
But I do think that was such an ingenious way to have a kind of fake marriage in the 21st century.
Yeah.
It was really well done.
Also
so true.
love the 21st century fake marriage where they've also been living together for years.
Yeah.
They're called fake marriage though, because they get married. So
it's real marriage.
They get actually married.
That I did think. I was like, oh damn.
So it's more like the old historical
marriage of convenience.
Marriage of convenience. Yeah, it is. Yeah, because I used to love those books.
And
because
fake dating. I don't know.
Yeah.
What I like about the marriage of convenience is that the book is not about courtship. It's about marriage. It's how do you live with this person and get to know this stranger? Because no matter how long you've known someone, they're always a stranger.
Yeah, very true. Marriage of convenience. It's like second chance, even though you weren't dating at the start, because I'm like, oh, this is weird. It's about like falling in love with this person after something has happened. So I'm like, oh, this is like, I like that.
Marriage of convenience is such an interesting lens to look at this book through as well, though, because one thing that's interesting about that over a fake marriage one is it like highlights of marriage as a like economic and financial and like social contract rather than strictly a love agreement.
Yeah, and an ongoing negotiation of power and other things, right?
Yeah, interesting.
Is it? I don't think I could be in like a marriage convenience. I'm not sure that I'd be that nice to someone for that long.
I would have to have the world's like most like the tightest prenup.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't want to. This is a personal thing, but I don't want to get married. Full stop. Like I don't have no interest in marriage. So marrying someone for convenience, like the idea that I could be dating someone for 6 months and they have any sort of right over any of my personal belonging.
Daddy, they have to live with you. It's okay. Just don't live with them, Abby.
I know.
Does an outhouse count? Like same property? Like,
same property.
But that alone
that might be spousal abuse, Harry.
Yeah. The marriage of convenience is a big no for me personally, which is where the fictional aspect comes in.
Yeah.
I would like to mention that we are coming close to the end of our time.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Thanks for timekeeping, Harry. Well done. So I want to go back to my question is, what do you think the commentary is on relationships here, and particularly in an academic setting? Because actually it's a very generous thing she does to do the spousal appointment.
Yeah. Oh, what the commentary on relationship? Oh, that's hard because
I think there's something around having prejudices, right? Like making, and particularly in the knife fight, and particularly to have a privileged young man be in the knife fight with you, she makes all these assumptions about him.
But he also makes not quite assumptions about her. Like we know from early on that he's been in love with her forever, basically. But there is a limitation there where he's sometimes not taken into account how the things that he's doing could be read by her based on her experience or like the differences there. So they both have to do a little bit of seeing the other person and getting to know them on that deeper level to see how they're experiencing the world is different from what they had expected.
Yeah, there's also something about like taking away any of the competition and trying to remove this like this breadwinner aesthetic that comes with a lot of like very conventional, traditional ideas of heterosexual relationships where in the end she wins the prize. So he's not any lesser of a person just because she wins the prize of the job and all this. So there's like, I don't know, there's like an interesting power dynamic, which I would probably have to do a reread to fully analyze. But that's an interesting part of the relationship is that at the end, she doesn't give up anything.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was going to say maybe my interpretation of it, anti-capitalist that I am, is that no matter how it ended up, they were both kind of ready to let everything go just to be together. So I like the messaging of you have to figure out what's actually important to you in life, and maybe the knife fight is not it.
Yeah. You have to put down the knife and kiss.
Yeah.
Yes. Now kiss. Final question. Fun question. What's sexy about academics or academia?
Nothing really.
Nothing.
Nothing. The stationery doesn't get you?
What stationery? No, hang on. What stationery in particular?
Let's bring back sentient object robots.
I find intelligence sexy.
Yeah.
I think there's a level of intelligence, but that also then if we get into the weeds of that, it's like, what does academia signify about intelligence versus,
and they cannot be smarter than any of us, like,
yeah, I find that attractive. So that's what's sexy about academic for me.
Yeah. I like when people are good at something. And again, I'm with you, Abby.
Excellence.
It's like, what does it say about putting this in an academic context? But I think for both of us, this could occur in any context. Like you can be smart in all different contexts and you can be competent in all different contexts. But I think I like that. I like when someone is really good at something.
It's like piano playing, or when someone's really good at an instrument. I find that really hot because I'm like, that takes discipline and years of practice. And I'm like, that is hot. Like the discipline.
Gonna be a drummer, Harry.
Is very, very hot. Piano is very, very, very attractive. My partner can play piano, and I'm like,
oh. Is it the piano playing, or is it your partner playing a piano?
He's pretty beautiful. I have to say, Brendan is pretty stunning. So Brendan doing anything probably is good for you.
I would say it's sort of a similar off of what Peyton and Abby were saying, whereas it's not specific to academia, but that level of interest and passion, like having someone being something they're obsessed with, and like it's not so much intelligence, it's just that the real passion,
enthusiasm.
Yeah.
So it's not the bonnet then that you find that sexy.
Well,
I take all that.
It's quite.
I don't know about that. It's a pretty sexy bonnet.
It's a pretty bonnet, you know.
Maybe if you had a kilt.
With a kilt.
All right, I'll aim for the kilt one day. And maybe playing the piano while wearing the bonnet and the kilt.
Yes.
Can I end by saying my
highlighting things.
Other close to favorite quote, which I just noticed was written below my one about the wine bottles, was when he says, well, that was nice of me, offering to buy you literal bags of shit for your birthday. Chapter 18.
Bless.
Good one. Yeah.
That was a good one.
Good ending note. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. This has been very loose. Our book of the month, which you were not here to give comments on. We're so sorry.
But you got extra time to read it, so you're welcome.
And now I just want to remind you, this is usually announced this at the end of book club, but you already know this because we've had many episodes this month. But the next book club is going to be Fiona Wright's The World Was Whole. I smashed this, loved it. I've actually done a reread since.
I've cried. I've cried.
It's really good.
It's awful. Awfully,
it's moving. It's gruelingly, like honest.
I have a building sort of a list in my head of books that you need to read either before your 30s or / in your 30s, like that, dealing with that moment of like adulthood and messiness around figuring out what to do with your life. And it's The World Was Whole is one of them. One of my other recs for life writing, adult fantasy, is definitely one of them. And also Becky Chambers' Monk and Robot.
Okay, we got Justina's. This is actually also on Justina's list of best life writing this month.
I love it. It's
so
beautiful.
We're going with the best. But anyway, get on it, because hopefully this episode comes out before we get to the next book club. But if not,
it might not. You might have already listened to that book club, and
you might have already listened to it. If you haven't listened to it,
more structured than this.
But you got insight into how insane academia is, and how we all still love it. Thanks for joining me. I forgot to introduce everyone at the top of the hour, so I'm going to say goodbye to the introducers now. Thank you to Harry Stewart.
It's the bonnet.
The flu has taken my brain.
Just takes over her. She's like, I've got the bonnet, y'all don't. You don't need introductions.
So thank you to Harry Stewart. You can say goodbye.
This is for our listeners, Harry.
Thank you to Abby Guy.
Thanks.
Justina Ashman.
Thank you.
And Peyton Hogan.
Bye, everyone.
And much love to Millie Heffernan, who couldn't join us today because she's there also ill. So I want to say hi, Millie, and we missed you. And thanks for joining us, and we'll see you all next week, where we will be launching, I think probably this is coming out in October, so we'll be enjoying Halloween month and horror. So hop on our Instagram and have a look at the order of events, and we'll see you soon.
Oh, bye. What's Halloween again?
What's Halloween? What's the book of the month?
What's the other special day?
Right.
A very big birthday that, I'm looking forward to very much.
Yes.
Right. Officially tick over into middle age.
Yes.
So we'll see you all next week, and thanks for joining us for this bonus book club that we very late on.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.